This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd, reminding you that we and the show you are listening to are proud members of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Find out more and check out all of the other great shows and content at selfdefenseradio.net.
Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, the podcast about all things IDPA. And now, here's your host, the only man to shoot the same non-threat 4 times at Nationals, Lloyd Bailey.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear, where we counter the media's negative image of gun culture by introducing you to the amazing men and women who are involved in IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. We're focusing on people, not politics. The everyday people from all walks of life, men and women who volunteer their time and effort, who spend their hard-earned dollars on travel, match fees, and gear to make this sport great. They're your doctors. They clean your teeth. They're fixing your houses, taking care of your pets. They fix your computers and pilot your planes, and they protect our streets and our nation. They are gun culture at its finest, and it's misunderstood or completely unknown to the mainstream media. Today, I'm going to introduce you to another one of these awesome people. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor. As we've heard on this show from match directors across the country, match directors face many challenges in running local or sanctioned matches. The weather is the most unpredictable and potentially the most ruinous. Nothing sucks the fun out of a perfectly planned match like shooting in the pouring rain or the sweltering heat, scoring soggy targets under plastic bags, or squinting at failing tablets that have been exposed to the heat of the midday sun. Whatever the challenge that nature throws your way, our friends at Match Shark can help. Match Shark's patent-pending target shields keep your targets dry even in heavy rain. They allow you to run your matches more smoothly because setup and teardown is easy, pasting is easier, scoring is easier, and for the shooter, you can see the target more clearly because you don't have to cover them in plastic bags. And their new line of tablet shades help you keep your tablets cool and extend the life of their batteries when they're exposed to sunlight all day. They reduce eye strain too, which makes tablet use much easier for your safety officers and shooters. Designed and manufactured here in the USA, owned and operated by shooters with years of experience in setting up and running matches, let Match Shark help you run your matches faster, smarter, and better. Check them out today at matchshark.com. Get everything you need to be prepared for your next match, just in case Mother Nature decides to show up and spoil things. Match Shark target shields and tablet shades can make it a better experience for your safety officers and for your shooters. Go to matchshark.com today. Our special guest today is Bill Duda from Magnolia, Delaware. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you. Tell us what you do for a living there in Magnolia.
I'm a field service engineer for a company out of California. So I travel from home to do a bunch of repairs on hospital-type equipment. It pays the bills and feeds my hobbies.
Keeps the ammo in the guns.
Yeah.
What, are you a Delaware native?
No, actually, I'm from South Jersey, and then once I got old enough, I left there to go join a free state and moved down to Delaware.
For those who like myself, are in the Southwest, we think of the northeastern states as being not so friendly gun-wise. What's gun culture like? What's the shooting scene like in Delaware?
So we have a couple clubs. So Delaware has the Bridgeville Rifle and Pistol Club, which those guys are outstanding with their IDPA club. They run no less than 6 matches a month.
Nice.
So they run a first Saturday, third Saturday, and every single Wednesday they'll run a match.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's usually really good. You go there, it's $5 a head, and they build the stages the day of. They take all the CSOs for a little walkthrough. And then the match happens, you're off the range, everything put away by 2, 3 o'clock. So it's really good. So that's what got me started in IDPA there. But the gun culture up here, the reason I said a free state is New Jersey has a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
Delaware has fewer. than the surrounding states.
So growing up in Jersey, where did the interest in guns come from?
My mother's side of the family are all hunters, and I dabbled a little bit, but my ADD and attention span wouldn't let me do that. Just sitting in a deer stand playing on Game Boy instead of looking for whitetail, that was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
They found out pretty quick that I didn't have the temperament for that kind of thing. So, it was a little bit of just playing around, shooting here and there. It was never anything serious. Never, this is how you properly, you own a gun. This is how you treat a gun. You don't, the safety rules and such. But it was never like, hey, let's go out and practice, long range marksmanship or nothing like that. I never had that growing up.
Right. So how did you go from the bored kid in the deer blind to picking up competitive handgun shooting?
Right? That's a good question. I blame it on the Army. After my initial 5 years in active duty, I got out and then got recalled under the individual Red Reserves and sent back to Kuwait for a year. And I don't remember what magazine it was, but it was one of the care packages that showed up, and it talked about 3-gun and how much fun 3-gun was. And you got to shoot rifles and pistols and shotguns in competition. And I was like, holy crap, that sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like something I could do. But while I'm like thinking about what could possibly, getting into this, meanwhile, I am in the Army. I was a staff sergeant at the time, so it's not like I was making bank. So it's like, I got to buy a gun when I get home. I had a shotgun in the closet, but I got to buy it, a proper sport gun. And I was like, all right, well, what am I not good at? That's what I always ask myself. Is like, I'm always not, whatever I'm not good at, that's what I want to practice. And that's what I want to be good at. Rifles, been shooting rifles in the Army for 8 years. Who cares, right? I can hit what I'm aiming at there. And then I figured shotguns are basically area weapons. So it's not like you need a whole lot of skill. I've learned better. But it was pistols. So I started doing some research, and the magazine talked mostly about USPSA. And there's a funny story where I got bored one night and called the local match director here on the Delaware Peninsula. I gave him a call from Kuwait and asked him if I, when I'm home on leave, I can swing by and check out a match that'll be going on. And he had no idea. He just saw a weird number show up on his phone, and he answered it out of curiosity, because usually you get spam calls and you can tell it's a spam call. So after the conversation was wrapped up, his name's Kenny Dons. He asked me, he's like, hey man, he's like, I gotta ask you, are you really calling me from Kuwait? and I was like, yeah man, I'm calling you. I heard about this thing and I want to know if I can play. And that's what got me started in competition pistol shooting. Right there.
Well, thank you for your service, by the way. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem. We never know what to say to people when they say that to us, by the way.
Well, it's. I don't think. I know there's always seems to be that moment of sort of like uncomfortable, like, okay, what do I say? But I don't think enough of us actually say it, and so I try to go out of my way to make sure that you guys hear that you're appreciated, because it means a lot.
So the way I think about that, by the way, is I didn't get spit on when I got home. So to me, when I see somebody wearing a Vietnam era something,
yes,
those are the guys that I talk to, and I thank those guys, because they really got trashed when they got home, and that wasn't right. And those are the guys that I pay attention to. Yeah.
Where did what was your first experience with? How did you hear about IDPA? Was it you came back from Kuwait, and the club is running IDPA matches, and you just wanted to try everything?
No, I'm a bit of a scatterbrain. I'm a bit of a spaz. So it's a weird situation. So I hook up with these guys. I'm shooting USPSA for a year or so, and I ask them about a level 2, level 3 matches, because they're all wearing these shirts. I don't really understand. I've only been to local matches, but they're all wearing these really cool looking shirts, and they all got the same jersey on. I was like, hey, so those level 2 matches, are they like team events? I really had no idea. I asked them if they were team events. That's why they would all be wearing the same jersey, right?
Right.
But they kind of laughed at me and invited me out to go help and run a stage with them. And, they explained to me, that the staff gets some benefits, and one of the big benefits is I don't have to pay for the match. And since, I'm broke and just trying to pay for ammo as it is, I was like, heck yeah. So we went down there and played around, and I learned about that. After that, it was like, I want to say it was only a couple of years later, maybe 3 years later, I think, I was asked to run the Virginia, Maryland section match for USPSA. And I went down there and we had a really good time. And this was about the time that practice score was becoming more and more popular.
Mm-hmm.
We were just running tablets there, or not tablets, the Nooks.
Mm-hmm.
So the Nooks were the hotness. And the guy that is the local match director here in USPSA asked if we could start doing Nooks. And I was like, sure. So we bought some tablets and stuff, and I had to learn all about it because I was kind of like, the youngest staff guy there. But the IDPA club here was getting ready to do their level 2, and it was I want to say it was like 4 months out. They asked me about practice score, doing the scoring there. And I was telling them all about how they could do it and stuff. And they're like, it's really good. Can you show us? I was like, yeah, man, I'll come show you. So I went down there and showed them how to use the stuff. And, as far as scoring on tablets and IDPA, and they're just trying to get it ready for their level 2. So they're really not, it was kind of a last minute thing. Hey, electronic scoring is going to be way better. People are starting to expect it. Let's do electronic scoring.
Right.
Well, I'm sitting there explaining to them all the steps required, and everybody's eyes are glazing over. Right. So I realized that my audience is really not ready for what they're being told. So I was like, hey guys, listen, I was like, why don't I come out and help you? I was like, I'll come out and sit here and help you do registration and help you get everything set up and, make sure your match goes on good. And they were like, hey, that would be really great. Would you be interested in shooting the match for free? And I was like, I don't know anything about IDPA. They're like, it's just a thing. It's, you'll do all right. And I was like, okay, sure. What's all entailed? Then, you got to be a member and you have to have a classification. So one of the guys came over to the local club after the USPSA match and set up the IDPA classifier, which at the time was complicated, and there was a bunch of...
Was that the 90 round?
Retention reloads and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I really didn't know what I was doing. I dropped the magazine on the ground every single retention reload I was supposed to do. So I classified like one from the bottom. I can't remember what it was. Sharpshooter, is that what it is? No.
There's novice and marksman.
It must have been marksman because I know I wasn't at the very bottom, but I was like the second from the bottom. And I went out and shot that match, and I earned all kinds of procedurals I had no idea existed.
Right.
I didn't do well at the match or anything. The ammo wasn't running right and all that. I was like, all right, so this is a thing, and the matches are only $5. Why don't I just start coming to the local stuff? And that's where I ended up, starting to shoot IDPA and play around with it some. That whole first year, I got a new procedural for every match I went to. I'm not exaggerating even a little bit. I didn't know. I shot through a target stick on a swinging non-threat one time, and it was a full diameter hit. Went through, hit the target. I was like, all right, cool, down 0. They're like, no, actually, that's a down 5. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the target stick's a prop. You shoot through that, it's a miss. I was like, oh my God. Oh, it blew my mind. Some of the differences in the rules between the two sports that came from the same concept. So.
Right. And so you learned the sport 3 seconds at a time, basically.
Yeah. A new procedural. Like, yeah, you weren't behind the pillar of that car. You were just kind of standing over the hood. So that's a procedural. And I was like, hold on. I was like, if I was a foot shorter, I could stand here, right? They're like, oh, yeah, all day long. I was like, what in the world is going on?
So after that, now you've gone from the guy who was learning the rules the hard way to being a master in, 6 divisions? So what?
Every division I've shot anyway, yeah.
Yeah, ESP, SSP. I think the only one you haven't done is PCC and Revolver.
Yeah. I actually abused a lot of those local matches, IDPA matches for Revolver Nationals and USPSA. But I was shooting an 8-shot revolver, so it wasn't like it was ever going to be legal for IDPA. But,
right.
I do have some friends that toyed around with trying to get me to play around with their PCC, and a couple guys trying to loan me the revolver to kind of even out the scorecard. I'll probably do that before the year's out.
There you go. Why not make it 8 divisions? So what happened?
Why not just set it up?
Yeah, exactly. Just run the table. So what happened between that that early experience of, like you said, learning the rules the hard way and becoming the master class shooter in 6 divisions at this point?
After I started playing around with that, I had actually come up with this idea for a product called a target shield. And a target shield is it's basically a rain cover for your targets that is not a bag on it or trying to, paint it with lacquer or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And to help promote that product, I went around and started shooting more high-level IDPA matches because it would start raining, match directors would start freaking out, and we would go over there with our target shields and try to save the match with these target shields, keep their targets dry. And I ended up hitting up, I want to say 4 or 5 different level 2s in the area and a level 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was placing well at those, and I kept getting match bumps from it. And that's what ended up moving me up the ladders because I probably never belonged, down at the bottom. I just didn't know the rules well enough to not, I was a decent shooter. I just didn't know the rules to be able to keep myself out of trouble.
Right.
So after a while and, trying to get clubs to buy that product, I heard about the World Shoot, and I had recently won the Delaware state match. So I had started shooting carry optics in USPSA, and carry optics wasn't ready for IDPA yet. So I had a 320 slide that has iron sights on it, threw it on the gun, went down there, shot ESP, and ended up winning the division. And then I heard about World Shoot. And when I heard about World Shoot and I already had some points, I was like, all right, let's go drive around, earn some more points, and go to national or go to the world match. And I ended up doing all kinds of stuff. The reason I'm a master in more than just like carry optics, stock service pistol and ESP, is because I heard about the Mississippi Showdown going down in Mississippi this year.
Yep.
And that was, for the people that don't know, that was actually 3 matches and 2 days. And that covered all of the divisions were going to be held in those 3 days as a trio for a separate match.
Yep.
So that was a really neat concept to me, and I was like, well, I need to go get classified. So called up my buddy. I was like, hey, let's go shoot 5x5. I need to get classified in these other divisions, and I ended up hitting master in them without much of a trouble. Those reloads on bug were something I actually had to practice in my basement before I left the house. And funny story there, bug and CCP. So when I did leave my house to go to the range, I had borrowed somebody's CCP gun because I don't have a gun that fits that box.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to the range, I realized I had left that gun at home.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not even kidding a little bit. So I was like, what in the world? I was like, you know what? I was like, my SIG 365 fits in the CCB box, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, I'll just shoot both classifiers with my bug gun. made master and CCP and bug with the same gun.
So how did you like tell us about the experience at the Mississippi Showdown?
It was, it was okay. I mean, I don't mean that in any means of the match. All right. I'm used to high risk, probably a slim reward, right? Mm-hmm. So I go down there and we're shooting CCP we were shooting bug in the morning. So I shot bug in the morning, and I didn't land very well. It must have been 5th place or something. But it wasn't my main platform that I've been practicing with all year, so I wasn't devastated. I needed points for Worlds.
Right.
That afternoon was the match for CCP, which is the gun that I had borrowed. I started off, it was like I was 4 stages in and I wasn't having a great match. I want to say I was like 10 points down, and I wasn't very pleased with my performance. And then this kind of like rowboat stage came up.
Mm-hmm.
So the rowboat stage had a nice little situation where there was a piece of steel, and there was that you had to knock down, and there was I don't remember if it was an out and back or swinger, but there was a target that would present itself. And I was like, okay, so if I just do this timing thing, I can knock this out real easy. I was like, I have to do an extra reload here, no big deal. And so I started the stage, and I totally trashed it, man. I ended up during the reload, forgot to go back to a target. So there was a target with 1 hole in it instead of 2. And then I forget if it was one or two of my shots had hit not only one of my shots. I had 2 hits on a non-threat that was in the boat with me.
Oh.
And one of those 2 that was meant for a target went through the non-threat, hit another non-threat downrange, and completely missed the target that I was aiming at. I was down like 35 seconds for that one stage alone.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, so I was like, we have another carry optics match. You know, the carry optics match is tomorrow. I rode my motorcycle down here from Delaware, so I need to go get my bike serviced before I head home anyway. My gun's broken. I'm going to leave. I told the match director, I was like, hey, and it's Will Schmid and his wife Chris. They're fantastic people down there. But I was like, look, man, I hate to be a bitch, but I'm leaving. I was like, there's no point in me continuing. I'm probably going to do something stupid, so I'm just going to go get my, go sit at the bar while I work on my bike and drink a beer and try to forget that I had done this today. Showed up the next day and won carry optic. That is the only rage quit I have ever done, and it was at a match that I had ridden my motorcycle down to Mississippi for.
But you went back and won carry optics though, so you said you weren't going to come back, but then you did.
No, oh right. So that was Saturday. Saturday was 2 matches. Sunday morning was another match.
Okay. So you didn't go back.
So I wasn't going back to my squad to finish the match that day. And I mean, mind you,
you were done for the day.
Right. So I'm not coming back to finish this match today. But yeah, so he was like, "No, I'll just go ahead and think you're a bitch," is what he said. Something like that. It was hilarious. We had a good time with it.
That sounds like Will.
Yeah. We had a really good time with it. And then yeah, but it was a doozy. And mind you that the temperature down there was a little bit toastier than it is up in Delaware.
A little. Yes.
So I wasn't really ready for the whole pickle juice drinking thing, but there it was.
Exactly. So talk about that, because for those of us who are down here and a little more acclimated to that, although I don't know how you acclimate to Mississippi and that time of the year, I've tried it. I've shot that match a number of times, and every time it's been horribly swampy hot. What's it like? What's the shooting season like in Delaware? So
usually we don't start shooting until late February.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a couple matches. As far as like the IDPA club will keep going on all year. As long as it's safe to be on the range, there will be a match. Oh. As long as there's not lightning or not like stupid icy conditions or something, there will be a match.
Right.
The USPSA house up here or on the peninsula here, it actually shut down for the winter. So from November to February, you're not shooting unless you go play IDPA.
Right.
I recently started up a USPSA club at Bridgeville. So I'm actually running a match there on a monthly basis for USPSA at that club.
Okay. And you're trying to do that year round as well?
Oh, we're going to do it year round, yeah. I need to. I can't stop shooting in the middle of the year and expect to retain everything that I've been doing. Before
we get to the last couple of questions, I've got a segment that I like to call Pick Your Poison, and I think this will be fun with you because you have not heard any of this. You're completely unprepared for it, which is awesome. These are not gotcha questions. Basically, Pick Your Poison is I'm going to give you a couple of shooting scenario options, and you tell me one or the other which you prefer and why. Okay?
Sure.
All right. So
go for it.
You've been to enough of these sanctioned IDPA matches at this point, and you know what standard stages are like. And I don't know what your thinking is in regards to them, or whether you like them, whether you hate them. Some people, it kind of freaks them out. Some people don't care. Would you prefer to shoot a not one of these warm up stages like they tend to do now with the 6 shots and you're warmed up, but a full house like shooting standard, like shooting the old classifier with multiple strings? Would you prefer to shoot that first thing in the morning at the beginning of the match, or last stage of the day?
A standard stage at the beginning of the day in IDPA would be more what IDPA is about than anything else, if you asked me.
Okay.
IDPA is more meant to be a test of your tactical mindset and being able to maintain that while still playing a game and earning points, right?
Right.
So having a warm-up stage in the first place in IDPA and what it's really, the whole premise behind it being a test of your, concealed carry skills.
Right.
I don't think a warm-up stage is necessary. I don't think that is actually helping the cause, kind of like PCC, right?
Right.
But so there being a standard stage at the beginning of the match, I would not mind that at all. I prefer to, if I was going to worry about a stage that had a lot of extra stress in it, I'd rather get it done and out of the way. And, and at the level that some of these guys are competing with me, when we go out there and the first stage is complicated and hard, it really tests everybody's ability to be ready for that at any point. And I think it being the first stage is something I would prefer.
Cool. I don't know how they present themselves in USPSA, but say you get a moving target. Would you prefer to have one where the threat targets are moving with a stationary non-threat in front, or would you rather have that non-threat moving and the threat targets behind it stationary?
Well, it depends on the movement. So if you're asking about a swinger, I make fun of people all the time when I tell them, when they're telling me, watch out, he's a shooter. I'll just stand there and tip at my hip like a swinger does. And I'm like, if I do this, he'll never hit me, trust me. So I look like a swinger. I think as far as that scenario goes, that would be silly. I think as far as, again, I keep going back to what IDPA is supposed to be about. I think the IDPA swinger being a non-threat is more along the lines of what you would expect to anticipate in something like, I want to say real life.
Right.
But if you have some of the movers, I've seen a lot of really good movers here in some of the IDPA matches I've been going to where they're like on a trolley and they'll either come at you or they'll move laterally.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones I saw was a disappearing target that actually came at you.
Yep.
And then when it got to a certain point, it actually fell flat on its face. And I was like, man, that's a really good target.
Yep. Those are cool.
Those type of targets being shoot targets, that's cool. I like that. The swinger, I think, being a non-threat would be more realistic. Somebody being in the way than a perp standing there trying to swing at his hips.
This is something I like to call the hold my beer stage, and you've probably seen this, where you come to a point of cover and you have a steel activator to shoot, and that will activate a disappearing target. Maybe a drop turner, might be an up down or an out and back, one of those one presentation swinger targets. But you've also got paper targets that you could engage. Some people will, the SO might say, nobody's ever tried that, or nobody today has done it. And they'll say, you can't, nobody has shot the steel, gone to the paper, and then gone to the disappearing target. A lot of people will take that shot on the steel and sit there and wait no matter how long that thing presents. Other people will take that chance because they know it will give them an advantage if they can pull it off. Are you the risk taker, or are you the guy who will play it safe?
Playing safe don't win matches. So here's where actually practicing for the sport you're playing comes in handy. There's a lot of people that are kind of like softball players and weekend warriors. They go out and they play, but they're not the guy in their backyard practicing pitching, throwing it in a bucket, over and over and over again, right?
Right.
They're the weekend warriors. They go out, they have fun, they just want to go test their skills and hang out with their buddies. And you got guys like me that kind of take it a lot more seriously and actually track how many times have I done transition practice this week? Have I done transition practice this week? And if you're not doing the practice, you're probably not going to push yourself to go for that target.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole math thing involved, right? So I look at the steel and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come up and engage the steel, and that's going to be my 0 time reference. And then I'm going to say, okay, how long does it take for that target to present after I fired a shot, because a big popper is going to take a lot longer to fall than they do when they're doing, walkthrough and they knock the steel down by hand. So if that steel is going to take a while to fall down, which it usually does, I may have a second and a half before that target even starts to move to present itself.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do in that second and a half? Can I transition over? How far away is it? If it takes me 0.3 seconds to transition over that target, put 2 shots in the down 0 will take me up to, let's say it's a full second, because I'm going to take my time. It's a little bit of a far shot. Maybe it's got some hard cover. I've got a whole half second now left to come back and index where that non-threat's going to come out. The guy that plays it safe is going to shoot the steel down, wait the second and a half with his gun there. Maybe he'll take 2 shots at it on the first presentation. Maybe he'll have to take 1 shot per presentation, and then he's going to take the extra second to transition over and shoot at the other target, and he's not going to do as well. So with a completely time-based sport like that, if you can play the game by doing that shot and making those shots on that other target accurately before the other target fully presents itself, which is the way the rule is written, then you should do it. And you should practice it. And you should, when you go to your local match and you're worried about beating on Jimmy Bob, that is your main competition over there, and you see a target array like that, if you're playing it safe at your local match, you're going to play it safe at a major match, or you're going to take the risk at a major match and you're totally going to crap the bed. Mm-hmm. You're just not going to do anything. Like, you're going to throw down points and you're going to be upset with yourself for having tried.
Right.
And it's the local matches that we go to, we should be treating those like practice sessions. Yes, I want to beat up on Jim Bob, but if I'm having a problem doing strong hand shooting, I might shoot half the match strong hand just to get in the rhythm of shooting strong hand. I'm not worried about my results. I'm worried about using those scenarios and putting my practice to work.
Great point. What at this point in your shooting career, what would you say is the strong part of your game? What are you the best at? And what part of your game would you feel like needs the most improvement?
You give me an option to shoot a target on the move, and it's going to end up down 0, and everybody's going to be like, I didn't even know you could do that. That's my strong side. Again, at the Mississippi match, there was a box start. There was 3 boxes moving laterally across the range. Mm-hmm. And the first target was, I want to say, 7 yards, and it was a limited round count setup. Mm-hmm. And it was 4 to the body, 1 to the head. So I drew, and typically people will draw and shoot the open target first. So they shot the body, and then they shot the head, and then they started a reload moving out of the box. I was like, well, you guys are wasting a lot of time. So I drew to the head, shot those 2 shots, put the 4 to the body as I was leaning out of the box. So as soon as the gun ran dry and the slide was locked back, I was already stepping out of the box and doing my reload, where everybody else was just starting to move because they were taking their time to hit the head box. So you give me an option to shoot a target and move at the same time, I'm going to do that. You asked me to do a standing reload, and I'm probably going to cry afterwards. I don't know why, but when the pressure is on and it's a planned reload, I will jack that up something fierce. Just standing there doing, a standard stage reload, and there would be a magazine stuffed halfway, the feed lip caught on the side of the mag or side of the mag well or something silly like that.
Fun question that I keep asking it every guest. I ask this question because even though 90% of the time the answers are pretty boring or they don't really have an answer, the 10% are really interesting. So here goes. Besides your gun, holster, mag carriers, eye and ear protection, the usual stuff that everybody takes with them to a big match, is there something that you always want to have that you have to have in your range bag when you go to a match, and why?
Bluetooth speaker.
Okay, that's a first.
You think I'm crazy, right? I have played that Bluetooth speaker everywhere from the local IDPA club to the level 3 Area 8 USPSA championship that I just shot. I get on a squad, ask them if they like rock music. If nobody says no, the Bluetooth speaker goes on, and I listen to rock music the entire time I'm shooting the match. I will have that Bluetooth speaker with me everywhere I go. If the squad and the SOs or ROs don't mind it being on, it'll just stay on the whole time.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. And then
only when you're shooting, or when everybody or
no.
Oh.
It's just playing the whole time. Just kind of like, it takes everybody's tension level down. It's just something to kind of, when you really can't hear it when you're on the line,
right,
or when you're shooting, right? Because it's not loud. You don't turn it up stupid loud. That's kind of like a just calming area to be in and hang out, listen to some music. You're not just sitting there stressing out about the match the entire day. It helps people forget about their last stage. You know what I mean?
Right. And it gives you a cool soundtrack when people are watching you.
Oh, yeah. Especially I've got a couple of buddies, level 1 match. They come shoot, and as they're making ready, I get on YouTube real quick and find the theme song for like My Little Pony or Powerpuff Girls or something like that, and play that while they're starting to make ready. That's made it into a couple match videos.
Very good. That right there is why I always ask the question. The majority of the people who are on the show, they love this sport. That's all they do. But there's a good many who shoot lots of different disciplines. You're one of them. What is it about IDPA that you like? What is it that keeps you trying? Why? I mean, you have taken the time to try to get good at this and to become very good at this sport. And you want to, and you're going to Worlds this year. What is it about it that to you like enough to put the effort in to get really good at it?
IDPA forces you to take the time to make sure you're accurate. I do like that about IDPA. You have to make sure that you're hitting that down zero. Mm-hmm. If you're not hitting that down zero, you're pissing away seconds of time now. And it's totally not worth it. So forcing yourself to be precise in the scenarios, and sometimes the scenarios are a lot of fun too. And that's, I mean, the IDPA club here in Delaware, Bridgeville, man, they put on some great scenarios. I mean, when they do their level 3 match, it blows me away. They go all out with prompts, and they try to make it as realistic as possible as far as the scenarios go, within the rules, and it makes it a lot of fun. And generally speaking, the intensity of the IDPA shooters, it's not as hardcore as what I experienced in USPSA. Mm. Like, everybody still wants to do well, but it's like, yeah, so what? It's kind of like the mentality of the guys at the local matches. It's my mentality as well, but when you go to a level 1 USPSA match, and everybody, the lower level shooters are just stressing out because they're not making improvements, and they can't figure out why they're messing up their reloads or something like that. And I notice when I go to the IDPA clubs, everybody's just there to have a good time, and everybody generally does just have a good time. We have guys show up, and they have their own little club within the club, and they all show up once in a while with their yeet cannons and try to win, beat each other with their high points. And I think it's awesome. It's the only reason I would even go buy a high point, is just to play with these guys. And generally speaking, people don't do that in USPSA. It's not anywhere near as common. So I do like the forcing you to be accurate, and the mentality of most of the shooters there in IDPA. Sorry.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, Bill. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you, and I really wish you the best of luck at Worlds, and I hope at some point I get a chance to run across you on the range and get a chance to speak howdy face to face.
No, that would be great. Look for me. I'll be handing out stickers and to people wearing Go Fast Don't Suck flags, so it'll be a good time.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank our guest for coming on the show and our sponsors for making all of this possible. Take a moment, if you would, to check out the website, check out our show notes at unloadpodcast.com. We've got lots of interviews with more amazing guests like the one you heard today. Join our Facebook group at unloadpodcast.com/Facebook for all the latest updates and to connect with other fans of the show. And if you'd like to support the show, we sure would appreciate it. Consider becoming a patron at unloadpodcast.com/extra. I've got some full-length interviews and special content available there exclusively for patrons as well. And if you know somebody, or you yourself would make an interesting guest for a future episode of Unload and Show Clear, please contact me at lloyd@unloadpodcast.com or click on the contact page on the website and send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Tune in again next time for another episode of Unload and Show Clear.